Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Screen Junkies Universe, where I am being denied my Grey Poupon by Hal Rudnick, who joins us today very excitingly.
Hey, Internet, it's your boy.
The boy. Spencer
The
Gilbert.
Condiment King, Hal Rudnick.
Spencer Gilbert.
Yes.
Man with the quips.
Always here.
Joestar.
I just, it's a strong social commentary that we now live in a time where something as once fancy as Grey Poupon is now just in a little packet. I mean, that used to be in a glass jar in a limousine.
Poupon for the people.
Yeah.
You know what else we're going to
Grey Poupon for everyone.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's a very delicate set, Hal.
Yes, the camera.
All the lights off.
Yeah, we are now out of focus.
We have to be careful. But that's fine. Leave us out of focus. We're going to demystify little-known movies today. We're going to reveal some movies that maybe people haven't seen that we love, that we would like others people to see, starting with Mr. Joestar.
Hi.
Hi.
I like it when we do these videos. And I want to tell the world about a little spoof of like 1950s sci-fi called The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra. It's just this weird...
The forgotten Harry Potter book.
Right? Yeah, it's this weird little indie send-up of just ridiculous old, like, sort of original Star Trek era sci-fi. And it's it exists in this really great plane somewhere between The Room and Airplane, where they're playing it straight. It's like that Leslie Nielsen style, we're playing it straight, but it's so on the nose and so good, it almost feels like they thought they were making a really great sci-fi serial. But it's super funny. It's black and white.
What year is it from?
I think
Ish?
Early 2000s,
Okay.
I believe. But shot it in black and white. One of the scenes that sums it up is there's a park ranger walking through the woods and he hears this horrific alien roar and he goes, "Huh, that could have been bad. Good thing I don't believe in things," and then just like continues to walk through the woods.
Sold.
Yeah, it's just great, funny movie.
Spencer.
For my first pick, I'm going to throw out probably my favorite documentary / social experiment / like unethical test on people called Kumare. And Kumare is the story of a Indian American gentleman who impersonates a Indian guru for a documentary to kind of expose the like hypocrisy and the BS in like New Age movements and people who follow fake spiritual leaders. But it works to the extent that like 12 people become his disciples and they start really depending on him for spiritual guidance. And he's sort of, the documentary changes, he's kind of trapped himself in this role and he like can't break out of it because now he realizes that he's going to really destroy these people's lives who've placed so much faith in him. And I don't want to spoil the ending because it's amazing and it's one of the more like tense sequences that you'll see in real life or fiction. It's super interesting. It's the kind of thing
heard of this.
Yeah, it's really wild. You feel bad for him. At first you're like, haha, you're laughing at these people, then you feel bad for them and you're following his journey as he goes through the same thing. It's wild. I think you got to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
That sounds especially relevant in Los Angeles.
Yes.
When, in order to live here, you must have a personal trainer and a guru.
Oh, yeah.
I think they check you.
You have to drink green kale juices.
Yeah.
Hey, those are
that's
delicious.
a touchy spot.
Those are delicious.
Look, I checked in with my small basket of lavender-scented crystals just to make sure that my list of films was okay. So,
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? If we don't get on to the next one, my chakras are going to be way out of whack.
Way out of balance.
boy.
Your chi is so fucked up today. Christine is a movie that I saw at Sundance in 2016, and I thought that it would get a lot more buzz than it did, ultimately.
I know, that crazy car going nuts and killing everyone. Christine.
Yeah. No, that's a Christine that also people could see. But this one
Talking about the Stephen King.
is, but that's the Stephen King one. This is
Yeah.
starring Rebecca Hall as a reporter, Christine Chubbuck, who famously shot herself live on the air during a news broadcast in Florida. Many people think that this story was the inspiration for Network, but actually the script for Network was written before this, ironically enough. And it's a movie that traces this woman who is legitimately dealing with all of the things that Network is doing, which is or talking about in terms of like the razzle dazzling of news and the commodification of news. And she's so frustrated by it because she wants to be a journalist. And in the end, she's doing this saying like, oh, you want ratings? Here's ratings for you. However, she's also clearly mentally ill and suffering from extreme depression, and all of those things kind of coalesce. This is a brilliant performance from Rebecca Hall. I'm shocked that she didn't, at the very least, get more awards consideration at the time, but she didn't. It's a really thought-provoking movie, and I highly suggest that you check it out. It's a really cool companion piece. Well, it's a little dark, with Network. If you wanted to watch those things back to back, I would recommend it.
Yeah, and just like that kind of topicality of just the devaluation of news. I mean, I just look, like if I, the HuffPost, for example, you're seeing like, oh, real news about the government, about the world, and then Kardashian lip injections or something, and the next story down. It's like,
and it's really unclear. Like, what are you telling me is the important? Like, where is my focal point here? I mean, obviously, as an adult, you should be able to figure that out for yourself.
I love Rebecca Hall from The Town.
She's great. She's great. I highly recommend that you see Christine. Not enough people did.
So for my first movie, I didn't realize I did this, but the 3 movies I picked, I have one from 1975, one from 1985, and one from 1995.
Whoa, you like them fives.
Ding. So let's start with 1975. This is a film called The Man Who Would Be King. It's starring Sean Connery and Michael Caine. Christopher Plummer is also in it. And the film's directed by John Huston, one of our most like decorated directors of all time. Maltese Falcon, Treasure of Sierra Madre, those both Humphrey Bogart films from the 40s and 50s. This film is about Michael Caine and Sean Connery are these 2 rugged individualists who like ex-soldiers, best friends, bon vivants, who are in the desert and they're looking for and then stumble upon this lost mythical kingdom that has all this gold and all these riches, but they don't have a leader. And they look at these men like they're basically gods, and they become the rulers of these people. Now, Sean Connery becomes the more responsible, staid, a good leader, whereas Michael Caine just loves the power, loves the riches, and loves the ladies, and that you see that clash, and then everyone around them realizes, oh, these guys may not be what we thought they were. And it's such an amazing story, and it's based on the classic author Rudyard Kipling's, I think it's a novella or a short story, but anyway, The Man Who Would Be King just blew my mind. Michael Caine and Sean Connery at the height of their powers. Yeah, so damn good. The Man Who Would Be King.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
I already have a list that I'm making for myself. Joe?
The 90s guys were a great time for spoof movies. I mentioned Airplane a minute ago.
Isn't that like, what's the movie that it's an exact it almost is following exactly even
Wings
the lines?
of something, but yeah, Airplane is like
it's like a shot for shot.
Shot for shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan's the one that introed me to that fact and sat me down, and we watched like the first 20 minutes of that. I was like, oh my god. But yeah, Airplane. The Naked Gun films. Hot Shots Part 2, not so much Part 1. That's a hot take about Hot Shots. But one of my favorites, which I think is underrated in that already underrated genre, is National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. Their parody. Yeah, JT's got me back.
Clapping from the booth.
This was their parody of the Lethal Weapon series, Emilio Estevez and Samuel L. Jackson. Wow. It also stars Tim Curry and William Shatner as the bad guys, who are both just absolutely funny and hilarious in this movie. The sort of just jokes per minute of this movie is just
the JPM
unreal. Yeah, that JPM. Some great lines. To Sam Jackson's character, his name is Luger, I believe, and he's like, "Oh my God, Luger, you came!" And he's like, "That's personal. What's important is that I'm here." Just real quick stuff. I've been watching this movie over and over again since I was 10, and I think when I was like 22, I caught that one finally. Was like, come. But yeah, no, it's just really
22,
just funny
huh?
movie.
Right?
Yeah, late bloomer.
There's a lot of that.
A lot about
Late bloomer.
Joestar there.
The BJC and Ace Ventura. Like, why was he holding the fan like this?
Yeah, I don't understand. what is the ghost doing to a Dan Aykroyd?
Yes.
No, there's just been a
Which is still hugely disturbing.
small period of time between learning about what jizz was and my next viewing of National Lampoon's Lethal Weapon 1 is all.
So this is the point that Billy's just going, stop them talking about jizz.
You want me to not talk about jizz anymore?
Yeah, because
Just cut it off.
there's a portion
cut
of
it
our
off.
audience that does not know what jizz is.
Cut it
Right.
off. Yeah, that's true.
Oh gosh, kids. Hey, so look,
When a guy loves a girl,
very much
special hug.
consensual special hug.
Grown-up hugs?
Yeah, consensual grown-up hug. And
I'm the one that has to like go edit all this out.
So
No, this is staying in.
this stays in.
Yeah.
So
what do you
let's
think the
talk
J stands
about-
for, Billy? In SJU.
speaking of Jay, what has the highest jokes per minute? Joe?
Of any movie?
It's gotta be one of those style
It's gotta
movies,
be.
like the
Yeah,
Zucker
it's gotta
Brothers
be
thing.
maybe.
Didn't
Yeah.
30 Rock have every 10 seconds a joke?
Yeah. 30 Rock's
I mean,
up there.
Airplane's pretty breakneck.
Yeah.
See how I did that?
Yeah.
Spencer, what's your movie?
All right.
Did you have more stuff to say?
No.
Quite different
That's
in tone and sexual fluid content. This is a film called, a Japanese movie called Afterlife, After Space Life. And it's super weird, but incredible because it's not really like anything else you'll ever see. It's a combination of documentary and narrative because it's about, I guess I have to set up the premise a little bit. When you die, I don't think this is part of Japanese culture. I think this is something they created. But when you die in this movie, you get to take one memory with you that you live inside of that memory for all of eternity, for the afterlife. And the movie is about the film production crew in heaven that like recreates that memory for you that you then get in a VHS tape and like you just kind of watch it over and over again for all eternity. So that's what the movie's about, and it's about the relationship between the production crew, but they got real people like documentary style to interview them about the one memory that they'd like to take with them for the rest of their lives.
So it's like mixing.
It's mixing real people, real not actors and actors who then go in like a very Michel Gondry, like Eternal Sunshine way, like Swede the memories. They like do it out of cardboard and diorama, and like they're doing all this stuff. But these are real people, like real elderly Japanese people who have
I'm
decided
so sold.
what memory they'd like to live for the rest of their
Wow.
lives. So it's really bizarre and interesting, and just for premise alone, like I think it's worth your
Hey,
time.
Spencer, if you could live in one memory for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, good. Back to jizz.
Wait, what? What? I was not gonna go there.
I was absolutely going to talk about jizz more.
Yeah, probably the time where Joe's Jizz Talk. So
That's mine too. That's mine too.
play
my-
it back, DJ.
It's my favorite genre of music in Star Wars.
We'll cut it out, Billy.
I can't.
What's wrong with human biology, Billy?
What's
circle of life.
interesting is that sounds amazing, but that's also similar to hell in Preacher. Did you guys watch Preacher?
I have not gotten to Preacher yet.
All right, well, that's not my recommendation. My recommendation is a movie called No Man's Land, which I think probably some of our audience will yell at me for calling this a little seen movie because it's won like 42 awards, including the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film in 2001, but I still think it's one worth mentioning. This takes place during the Bosnian War, and basically it acts as like this incredible laser-focused parable for that war. It has two soldiers on either side of the war caught in no man's land. And then there's another soldier that's basically wakes up, he's unconscious, and underneath him has been buried a landmine. That sentence made sense if you
What?
reverse it. A landmine has been buried underneath him, and he
I'm
wakes
with you.
up
Got it.
to that. And then a UN soldier comes in to try and help them against orders. It has a lot to do with how ineffective the UN is. And then an English reporter comes in to try and get like media attention on the situation. And it's sort of taking these broad themes in the war and locating them in this very isolated story. It is a brilliant satire. It is incredibly darkly comedic. I know what I just set up for you sounds like, how could that possibly be funny?
Yeah, it did not sound like a comedy.
Exactly. And that's why movies like that, and I think I had mentioned Pedro Almodovar before, does the same thing, where he takes a situation that you think this cannot possibly be made funny, and it is, And it's walking that razor's edge, which I'm always so impressed by when people can pull that off, because I certainly couldn't. And I think it's a pretty amazing feat. But it also really looks at like the futility of war in a meaningful way, and a way that keeps you engaged as an audience member, because you don't really feel like you're being proselytized to or talked down to ever. It moves very quickly. These are brilliantly, richly drawn characters. I highly suggest that you see it again. Probably a lot of people have, because this won a ton of awards and has many accolades. But if you haven't, check it out, No Man's Land.
Nice.
I haven't seen it in a long time too, so that's my best memory riff.
Yeah, right on. Yeah,
Sounds awesome.
That's how I'm with most of the ones I have as well. I haven't seen them, but it's just hearing you guys talk about these and then just like thinking about. My movie list is growing here. I took this as best movies you've never seen. It might be a movie that's like kind of obscure that maybe you've never heard of, or something that's maybe just a little bit older that you haven't gotten around to yet. And I just wanted to bring up, this is not an obscure movie at all, but the 1985 Oscar winner for Best Original Screenplay, Witness.
Oh, yeah.
With Harrison Ford.
It's where Han Solo goes to
Yeah.
Amish country.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Harrison Ford, he witnesses, he is a cop who takes this Amish kid who witnesses a murder, and he goes to keep this kid safe in Amish country. This movie taught me everything I know about the Amish. I do not know anything else but what I've learned in this movie. I know that Amish people like to keep it plain, raise barns,
Grow beards.
grow beards, and
PBB.
and PBB.
Plain Barns and Beards.
That's what I'm talking about. And Kelly McGillis, height of her powers. Some say Top Gun is Kelly McGillis at the height of her powers. I say Witness is Kelly McGillis.
Or the accused. Is that Kelly McGillis?
Yes, it is. She
Yeah,
plays the
she plays
lawyer,
the lawyer.
to Jodie Foster for Jodie Foster in The
Wow.
Accused.
Yeah.
If she was in the
nice.
judge, she could bat the cycle for
Right?
the legal process.
But I would say this movie is.
I'll see myself.
She'd have to be a defendant as
Yes,
well.
yeah.
We digress. This film has so many beautiful different pieces and flavors. There's action, there's suspense, and it's also really romantic. There's one of the most beautiful scenes between Harrison Ford and Kelly McGillis. She is not familiar with like pop culture and the radio because she's Amish, and Amish people don't know shit. And I can say that because no Amish people don't have the internet and they're not watching this. But if you're Amish, comment below.
But what if they didn't come back from Rumpelhausen? What is it called when they go?
I wanted it to be called Rumpelhausen so bad.
Rumspringa.
Billy, am I gonna get in trouble
What
for
if
saying
they didn't
Amish
come
people
back?
don't know
What
shit?
if they're on Rumspringa right now?
Yeah.
They don't know
It's too
shit
much.
about YouTube. They know
Okay.
plenty, but
Well,
not
right, here's
about.
the-
Rumspringa is
let
when
me-
they learn
let me fix
about,
that. Amish people know about getting shit done with your
Yeah.
hands and the sheer will of man, but they don't know nothing about YouTube. They don't know nothing about YouTube. All right? If you're an Amish person with a YouTube show, come at me.
Known fact.
I want to see an Amish YouTube film reviewer with his hat and his beard and butter knives in his hands for his Logan review. So badly.
Wow. But there's a scene where
This is a great movie.
Witness is a great movie.
Tell us
And-
about this romantic scene.
Yes, there's a scene where Harrison Ford is trying to get his car to work, and he finally gets it running, and he turns on the radio, and that song, "Don't Know Much About History, Don't Know Much Biology," that song comes on, and he and Kelly McGillis dance to this song in a barn with the headlights on at night, and it's a lovely scene.
That is a nice
Witness.
Witness.
Check it out.
Witness.
1985's
Romance.
Witness.
Very
Directed
good.
by Peter Weir, who directed Dead Poets Society and The Truman Show.
Captain, my
Dead
captain.
Poets- Captain, my captain. Great. What's your next one?
My third one, because it wouldn't be a snobby list of movies that I think you should see if I didn't reference an anime film, is Tech on Concrete. It's God, how do you start describing this movie? This is a weird acid trip of a feature film about two brothers lost well, they're not lost. They're homeless in just this really, really bizarre city that's controlled by the mob. It's some of the strangest visuals you've ever seen. It's just a very weird ride. The movie's just so odd. You just sort of go with it. It starts very simply about these two brothers that live on the street. They get mixed up in things that they maybe shouldn't, and it just starts to really expand and get supernatural and really kind of crazy. But at the core is just about the relationship between these two boys. It's a great movie. The animation company that did it, I discovered them through. Remember that they're Animatrix. Remember the Animatrix?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So they did.
That's come up like 4 times recently.
Really?
Yeah, we were talking
Maybe
about
we
that
should
recently.
recommend the
We are who we are.
Animatrix, like, by default.
The Ghost Story one.
Yeah,
It looked really similar to that.
Yeah,
that
it was
cover.
Ghost Story, and so that's actually how I saw this movie, because I was like, "Is that the same?" But it's a great movie if you're not into subtitles, because sometimes people aren't. The dub on this is also pretty good.
Subs, not dubs, man.
Oh man, anime fans are gonna come at me, bro. But it's I think Rufio is the voice of one of the brothers. So yeah, no, it's a good dub if you don't feel like reading words.
Rufio.
Solid. My
We just translated. We just went back to the 70s. Solid.
Solid,
my man.
My final pick is a movie that a lot of people have probably seen or not, and the people who have seen are just super vocal about it, because I see a lot of like diehard people recommending this movie, and I echo it because it is called Blue Ruin, and it is amazing. This was the feature that Jeremy Saulnier, you know, I'm a dirty American, I don't know how to pronounce it. He made this before he made Green Room, sticking to the colors, and this is an amazing low budget, gritty, but so intense revenge movie. And this really answers the question of, like, you know, people want to be Batman and they want to be John Wick. But what would it be if, like, you or I were like, all right, I'm going to kill somebody out of revenge? It wouldn't go very smoothly. It wouldn't be like a cool, slick thing with no blood or no mistakes.
I wouldn't shoot at Common in a mall.
No, you wouldn't be. You wouldn't be doing that. But you'd probably F it up a lot. So it's darkly funny, but it's also really intense because this guy is totally outmatched by the situation he finds himself in. Wow. So the premise is, like, what if a real person went on like a very serious mission of murder revenge, and hijinks ensue. And the way, if you've seen Green Room, you know how this guy is a master of tension and building it up. And there are a lot of long shots with no cuts where you're just sweating bullets with this guy. So super recommended.
I second that one. I just remember, like, from just once this guy gets on his revenge mission, you are just like, no, this is not going to end well. No. Again, yeah. It's like, yeah, you're white knuckling through this.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Sweet. This one, my next one is a movie that came out in 2015 in Poland, and then it was at Sundance in 2016 again, and it came out in February of this year. And I just saw it this weekend because I missed the boat. And I do mean boat because this is a Polish horror musical about carnivorous mermaids.
And
I want you to say that sentence one more time. Just say the sentence again.
Polish horror musical about carnivorous mermaids that takes place, hang on, in a 1980s dance club.
Even better.
The Polish translation for the title is The Daughters of Dance Party. Yes, this is called The Lure, and it's a riff on Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid, which we've talked about around here is far darker than the Disney version gave you. And it actually follows, one portion of this follows that very closely. But in the midst of it, it's these two mermaids called Silver and Gold.
Two mermaids.
Two mermaids, and they join up with
One
a
silver,
rock group.
one gold.
Exactly. Called Figs and Dates. And they are both stripping and singing backup for this rock group in a club that has, like, very few patrons, but then they get mermaids. And no one, like, freaks out. They just have more patrons.
It's Poland. They've got other things to worry about.
In the 80s. And
All those light bulbs.
and then eventually they get their own. They're like their own band called The Lure, and Figs and Dates is singing backup for them. So twist.
Spoiler alert.
It's not a huge spoiler. Triton is there. He's singer of a metal band.
Very
this
metal.
is amazingly effing weird.
I keep looking at our
And-
monitor like more stills are going to come up to
No,
explain what you're saying, and I'm
they
like,
should be. The director calls it a mix of The Little Mermaid and then also a coming of age tale that's dealing with like how women are perceived via their bodies. Like everyone's really obsessed with their bodies and their sex and their sexuality and if they do want to have sex with them or not the entire movie, and then they're discovering that for themselves. There's also murder. Again, they are carnivorous.
Can I ask for a spoiler?
And this is
minor spoiler.
Yeah, just really quickly.
yeah.
It's also kind of an allegory for immigrants because they're on their way. She calls it that because they sort of stop there and they are both kind of like there's an attraction repulsion with them and they're actually on their way to America, which is their end goal. I don't entirely love this movie. I love so much about it and I'm obsessed with so much about it. I need you to see it so we can discuss it.
Definitely.
That's the important
Got that,
thing.
yeah.
All right.
And I do think that some is lost in the cultural idiom and the translation because some of the lyrics are just like stating the facts. And like some of them are things like, I need my glucose pills. Or
It sounds much prettier in the original Polish.
I'm sitting here in my bowl and I feel like I'm probably losing some of the poetry in the translation. It's amazing. I need you to see it tonight. It's important that you tweet with me. I need to discuss this.
We're live watching The Lure.
You need to watch The Lure. I'm
Nice.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What's your spoiler
That's all right.
question?
I wanted to know, do they get legs like Ariel or do they stay fishtails?
Do you want to know the spoiler?
No.
I don't.
Hal, we're watching
All right,
this one.
just whisper,
Okay.
whisper. Okay.
I heard that. That was a loud whisper.
But,
No, did anyone hear
but
that?
there's a whole thing at the end where you're really not sure where it's going to go.
Okay.
It's really brutal, too. It's amazingly weird. A character shows up and sings about poison and then she leaves. She never comes back.
Yeah, this one wins the panel. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check out The Lure.
You gotta take us out big.
Awesome.
now.
Check out The Lure.
You know
Live
what?
Watch.
If you're waiting for me to top that, you're going to be underwhelmed. But this is an indie film that I love. So go to 1995. If any of you went to film school or have tried your hand at just independent production, making a YouTube video or something, you've hit some pitfalls. You've had some snags. This is one of the best films I've ever seen about low budge filmmaking, living in Oblivion
Yes.
from 1985. So damn
good.
funny, so ridiculous, and
that Dinklage?
it approaches so many cliches. Billy's watching
Buscemi?
something about Star Wars right now, not paying attention to what's going on here.
Jizz.
I looked over it and there's a Death Star on his. It's got Steve Buscemi. Also, the queen of indie film, I would say, Catherine Keener. And
Parker Posey, Princess.
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
right there. Keener or Posey? Comment below. And James LeGros, who he's often really funny. I feel like that we expected more from that guy because James LeGros is always pretty good in everything he does. And some early Peter Dinklage. I thought the first time I ever saw him was The Station Agent, but I realized, he was in Living in Oblivion. And it's directed by Tom DeCillo, who's done mostly TV since. But it's this film where it just really explores the pretension of indie directors who are trying to make the perfect film and have this vision. And it's got overwrought directors, actors with big egos, and it's just a great look at cheap, low-budget indie filmmaking. Super funny film.
I second that recommendation. And also, do you know who that was the big star that comes in? Do you know who that was supposed to be a riff on?
No.
Brad Pitt.
Wow.
Yes. Keep that in mind when
Spicy.
you guys watch it.
Nice.
So spicy.
Yeah.
It's a great one. I love that one.
Yeah.
Great recommendations, you guys. I am looking forward to watching all of the ones that I haven't seen. And again, live tweet me while you watch The Lure. It's so important to me. I need people to talk about this movie with. This week, starting on tomorrow, because today is Wednesday in this world, we are going to have Make It or Break It, which is a series that these guys worked on. Mr. Hal Rudnick is a part of it. Danielle, all your favorites are there. Roxy Stryer. And we are going to decide whether things definitively make it or break it, including Michael Bay and the year 2000.
Those are two separate videos.
Yes.
Are they? Tune in to find out. Make it or break it. Got to check it out. So good. I will say things that I don't say in the video because I'm not in the video. I'm going to leave you with this: Yoda, mescaline, steam swamp, and that will soon make sense to you. Or will it? Thank you, Joestar.
Thank you for all of your mescaline steamed swamp ways.
Thank you. I've done so much in my life to deserve that. Spencer?
Thanks, Roth. Honor and a privilege to serve with you, and we'll be back in the new year at this desk.
Oh, yeah, we're taking 2 weeks off. Hal Rudnick.
Thanks, Roth, and thanks, fellas. And yeah, my list of movies to see is now so long that if I completed it, I will be able to do nothing else in life.
Yeah.
But watch. But yeah, what else is there
But
to do?
Lure
but
goes
watch
to the
movies?
top of it.
What's
Lure
that?
goes
Lure goes to the top of it.
Oh, Lure's on the top.
I
I'm
watched-
gonna tweet at Roth while I'm watching.
You better. I'm not even kidding. I watched like 7 this weekend, so you guys in the next 2 weeks can watch the
You watched
Lure.
7 movies this past weekend?
I did not leave my couch.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
Good work.
I just had food brought to me and blankets.
That's what we'll be doing
love it.
all holiday season. So.
all holiday season. Yeah,
yeah.
just catching up on those movies.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining. People that I could not have survived this year without include all of these fine people here and behind the scenes and all of the people. I did the big thank you at Thanksgiving. And so
That's
just
enough.
refer back to that. I mean it again.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us this year. We'll see you in the new year, January 3rd, I think, right? Yep.